Right, good morning. Good morning. How are we today? Good, fab. Any improvement on fab? Amazing. You feel amazing. Fantastic. You feel hopefully suitably energized after that. Your fingers are all energized and stuff. Great. And yeah, no, we thought you did spectacularly well yesterday, and you'll do equally spectacularly well today. And you've done some fantastic research out on the street. As we were discussing at the close of play yesterday, just going up to people randomly in the street won't necessarily give you useful data to work with, and won't necessarily be representative. And what we're trying to do is to get a flavour of how we do that and think about, okay, if I was going to be embedding this in my day-to-day practice, what kind of people would I need to talk to? How will I find them? What are the questions that I would ask them, etc. But you have been engaging with people, you've been building prototypes, so I suppose really, before we go on, lots of photographs have been taken by Jenna, who's been working with us, and they're on the Facebook page. If you go to Facebook and then Global Service Jam Dundee, Scotland, that's on our Facebook page, and there's lots of photographs there of you doing strange things, and building stuff, and talking to people, and eating, mainly. Lots of eating, actually. Probably more of eating than anything else. So, today's the big prototype day. So yesterday was about learning methods and going out and engaging with people and understanding the process that you're going through. You built some remarkable prototypes, and I guess the thing now to do is we've only got one block of talks today, and that's for the next half hour, and then that's it. So go back, look at what you built yesterday, break it, rebuild it. The whole point about design, right, is that the first idea you come up with isn't going to be it. So it's about looking critically at what you've done, and maybe inviting people from other teams over and saying, what do you think of this? How would you improve it? So iterate. Looking at designers here in the audience, how would you define iterate?
Just keep doing it over and over again until it gets better and better.
Yeah. Until you think, actually, that's as good as it could get with this. And iterating helps if you're trying to get some critical feedback from people. And we're doing this in the middle of a canteen, right? There's lots of people sitting around who know nothing really about what you're doing. Go up and talk to them. Find out what their views are. Play to your strengths. That's the whole point. Keep reiterating. This is a jam, right? And you play to your strengths in that. Upload, all day upload to govjam.org. The models that you've made so far, photographs of them, photographs of yourself out on the streets, etc. And then as the day goes on, you might be making videos and so forth, because we're getting to the point of show and tell. So we'll have a show and tell, and about 3:30 this afternoon. We call it show and tell and not presentation. We're not looking for slick PowerPoints. We're looking, it might just be a walkthrough of what you've done, as long as you can show the idea. You don't want a slick presentation of the idea. You want to just show how it works. So today is almost an exploration in how we show things and how we tell the story of how something works. And it's about storytelling, physical storytelling. And that's really what the emphasis is today. Some of the mentors that we've had over the last day and a bit, can't make it for the last day, but we're blessed in having 2 additions to the mentoring team, who really, their specialist skills are very much this kind of area. First of all, Mr. John Gill. Do you want to just say a couple of words about yourself, John?
Will I stand up?
Yeah.
Hello. So my name is John Gill, and I've got a background in graphic design, illustration, service design, and filmmaking. So I work for the Social Services Council in Scotland, who regulate anybody who works in social care in Scotland. But I'm also a freelancer as well, and dabbling in all of this kind of stuff. So if you want a hand with anything today, please give me a shout, and I'll come to see what everybody's doing anyway.
And one of the most remarkable things that John's ever made, in my view, is, I don't know if it's still on YouTube, the pastiche. No, not that. The pastiche of House of Cards.
Oh yeah, It's, it took me hours. That's gonna be there forever.
Yeah. So he did. You know, I don't know if you've seen the House of Cards, the US version of House of Cards, the opening title sequence, where he filmed it and used the same music in exactly the same style in Dundee, and it is just awesome. And it was to make a point, wasn't it? It was to demonstrate.
So it was all filmed either on an iPad or an iPhone. So it was the idea that you can do that kind of stuff just with whatever you've got in your box. So if you like the filmmaking stuff we're doing today.
Yeah. So you have a professional piece of camera kit sitting in your pocket or bag, and these fine people here will demonstrate to you how to use it. Jennifer, do you just want to say a couple of words about yourself before you?
I'm going to do a presentation, so I'll just.
This is Jennifer. She's going to be doing a presentation in about 5 minutes or so, and so I will now swiftly hand over to Hazel to talk about journey mapping, which is a really important and actually quite fundamental tool that we use in service design.
Okay, good morning again, everybody. I said to Mike last night, I said, well, I might put the slides together for this, and then he said, oh, they're actually your slides. Do you want to do it? I said, yeah, that'd be fine. And then I opened it this morning, they were slides from about 5 years ago. However, they still work. So a journey map is basically how do you understand how either an existing service works or how to plan a service in the future. And the purposes that you'll probably use it for today is think about what you're designing and actually how is it going to work. Okay, so we use it as planning. And when I'm talking about a journey map, I just mean a piece of paper with boxes on it. And you actually don't even need a piece of paper with boxes on it, you just have a piece of paper. But just to help guide you through it, we've got journey map templates. Basically, it's about showing a service from a user's point of view. It's about highlighting, if you're looking at one that exists already, like you're auditing a service that you've got, you might use it to see where there's inefficiencies or where things could be improved. But it also helps you get out this thing about getting into the shoes of what's it like for somebody else who's using the service. So you're looking at the service not from the organisation's point of view, it's not a process map, it's looking at it from the service user's point of view. And it helps you think of the whole service, you know, from when somebody finds out about it, to their journey through it to when they leave, rather than just think of particular points. Because going back to what we talked about the other day, we often think of bits of service, you know, like we need a new web page, but we don't actually think of how somebody actually comes to know about your service or what happens with the web page. So it's about looking at things over time, and it's about, we break it down into these 5 areas. So how does somebody become aware of the service that you're designing? How do they join it? You know, how do they engage with it? What happens when they're actually there? How are they using it? How do you keep them using it? And what happens if they leave? Do they leave or do they stay? You know, so just thinking through all those different stages as you're designing it. So I'm going to take you through the experience of opening a bank account just to illustrate how this works. This is a true story. This was Hans Human, a student who did the master's course used to run, and now works as a service designer in Germany. Actually, he's from India, and actually has been following us on Twitter.
And he's been tweeting about our jam. He's been following. Yeah, so it's been good.
So anyway, this is Hans, and so he came from India to Dundee to study for a master's degree, and he needed to open a bank account. He needed a bank account for all sorts of different reasons, because he's got to pay for a flat, he pays fees for university, utilities, etc. And he couldn't even get on the university Wi-Fi until he matriculated, which couldn't matriculate until he paid his fees, etc. So opening a bank account was a really, really significant thing for Hans. And he didn't know when he was in India, he had no information about banks when he was in India. So when he arrived at Edinburgh Airport, he saw the big adverts that say, "We're with you all the way." And he thought, excellent, that looks like a fancy bank, that's on my account. So he went to the bank, and the person went to the bank on High Street, and they said, okay, you'll need to go online, fill in forms, and then bring them back in. Right, okay. Not that digital here in Scotland then. So he went and did that, and So 2 weeks later, 6 calls, 3 emails, and 2 visits into the bank, he still didn't have a bank card. And you can imagine the implication for that. He's not paid his fees, he can't get on the Wi-Fi at university, his accommodations at risk, etc., etc. So he's not very happy. So he goes to another bank. That's how he leaves that service. By contrast, Ashwarya, who was in his year as well, also came from India. But she went to the TSB. And I'm not advertising it, the same problems, and they just said, yeah, can help. And literally 3 days later, the bank card was through her letterbox. It was exactly the same situation, exactly the same documents, they could do exactly the same things at exactly the same time, but she had a really good experience because the bank had thought through the journey. And how she left that experience was by, posting on Facebook, fantastic, my bank card arrived today, to all her, 400, 500 friends on Facebook in India. So if they're wanting to come to Scotland and study, they know what bank they're going to choose. So, there's kind of problems, and the real problems, the pain points in that were at the joining point. And I mean, I don't know if any of you are financial experts, but how could that have been better? Can you think of any ways of how that can be better, that joining experience?
So why did it take so long for that information to get to you?
Well, one of the reasons is because you're going through multiple channels. You're going through people, you're going through online, you're going through paper, and trying to spit out digital. That's not a smooth process. Anything else that you might have done to make it better or a different experience for Hans?
Just fill the form out and do it there and then at the time.
Exactly. I mean, Hans actually said, because he was in the bank one night, he actually said, can I not use one of those computers? But they said, no, they're bank computers. It's different now. I think it's improved now in terms of what you can do in terms of online. But there's all sorts of opportunities, that actually when he was matriculating, he needs all his documents there, he has all his documents. Banks could be signing people up there. Potentially they could be doing it before they actually came into the UK, as far as they could, before they actually do checks, etc. Lots of different ways you can improve that. And then there's this bit of when they became aware, there's an overselling and not delivering on a promise. And that's terrible. Say, we're with you all the way, and actually we're not at all. My policy and everything is always undersell and over-deliver. I think you build better relationships with people there, but a big shiny poster is not always good service. And that's quite often what we do when we're designing a new service. We say, oh, it's about awareness, we just need to have a TV campaign or a great poster. It's not, we need to have a really, really good service all the way through. So that's what we're going to ask you to do today. And it's a really important thing about being part of a team is that you've got lots of different things you can be doing today. You don't need to do everything. You've got mission model canvas that Ali gave you, introduced you yesterday. We've got films, we've got journey maps, all sorts of different things you can do. You don't need to do them all, but if you do decide to do them all, remember you're a team and get different people working on them because you're all working in parallel rather than all doing the same thing. Or have an introductory chat about doing something and then a couple of you finish off the job, but that's the joy of working in a team. So the way you can use it, you can map your future service, think about how are people going to come into it, map as many bits as possible. The form we've got here is basically just, when we talk about channels, is that thing about, is it digital, do people find out about phone, is it on TV, is it poster, is it word of mouth, etc. I would tend to use drawings or visuals along there. It's handily designed so that a square post-it fits exactly in the box, so you can move things around. The context is just a bit of text to explain what's happening, and the satisfaction is just in smiley faces, even coming out the ears or whatever. But of course, in your new service, it's going to be joyful. But you can imagine, even on a new service, when you're doing it, there's things to do with expectation here, and how people feel emotionally, expectation, reassurance, etc. But you want it to be quite a high emotional curve going along the bottom there. And I'm starting again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much indeed. And there's a pile of templates somewhere up the back. So if you would like to take one on the way out, and one point to make quickly really is that in some of these talks, we're actually piling quite a lot of stuff in. So everything that you just heard, in fact, you can hear again, and you can hear Hazel say it again in a little video, which is on dundeegovjam.com/useful resources. And if you go down to the bottom, we put in a number of different videos there that you'll find useful. There's Hazel's talk about journey mapping. There's a few other ones as well. And if you're really interested in all this and you want to find out more, maybe not today, but later, we put a reading list together, and most of that reading list are things that you can just link to. So you don't have to go out and buy books. And we've got a number of case studies on the Open Change website as well. But without any further ado, I'll hand over to the very capable Jennifer Jones.
Hello, I didn't want to introduce myself because it was rude in the presentation if I introduced myself first. Hello, I'm Jennifer. I am going to talk to you a little bit about digital storytelling. I'll explain a little bit of context. I finished my PhD, became a doctor 4 weeks ago, so I'm getting loads of people asking me, what do you do, what are you going to do, what are you doing when you grow up, etc. I thought it'd be better just put my Twitter bio up to see what I do. So I've spent the last 10 years roughly researching citizen journalists. So I'm an ethnographer, so I embed myself in communities of people who are media activists, people that are journalists who use media activism. And now I've actually got a card-carrying NJ membership, so now I'm actually a journalist. So it's this sort of weird relationship between when is a citizen a journalist and when is a journalist a citizen that I'm interested in. And I kind of do that through research, through my PhD, but I do it through practice as well. So I do a lot of training with people who are interested in becoming journalists, but really, rather than doing community media, I'm interested in making media for communities. So that's where my position is. So over the last maybe 3-4 years, I've been working with groups. I was the project coordinator for a big lottery project with the Commonwealth Games called Digital Commonwealth, and out of that we produced a digital storytelling handbook, which is in the resources, which is free to download and create common. So I'll link back to that. So, citizen journalists, I am interested in how these tools we carry them around all the time and we consume media on them, but we don't actually think about what we can do in terms of being active media producers. And I can advocate that anyone can be a journalist, and that kind of freaks people out a little bit. But yeah, I also want to add to this slide in because I realise I mentioned greyhounds. If you're going to follow me on Twitter, you're going to get a lot of greyhounds. That's George, and Minnie's black dogs. It's quite hard to take over. George and Minnie, I think a lot of greyhounds. Right, okay, so why? These are the statistics from the Office of Statistics around social media use. I've included them because this gives you a bit of kind of rationale of why it's important to create content and why people will be interested in creating content. Mainly because young people now would rather create their own content than read newspapers. Increasingly, as I teach media students, they don't read newspapers, they produce and they read other people's media before they will read the mainstream media. Also, the kind of most used actual social media activity is local stories and local information. So it's really important to actually think about, rather than people using it just for celebrity use and all this sort of consumption type stuff, people are using social media to find out stuff that's in the local area. If you're not there, then they won't find out any information. So there's this real kind of push to want to be able to talk about stuff, but folk are a little bit anxious about it. This kind of cultural tension where journalists are going to do it and we just do our job, whereas now increasingly people are wanting to upload and create content. So that's a sort of tension, but also an opportunity. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the smartphone is our Swiss Army knife. So that is a citizen journalist Swiss Army knife. So the people that I was looking at in my PhD was way back in 2010 with data collection, but they were kind of coming up using these tools in our pocket to become journalists, and it was about how they coordinated and organised this alternative media around an event like the Olympic Games, where the smartphone was their dominant tool. And now, like journalists, you go on the BBC Academy website where you can get all these free resources to learn how to be a journalist. They're encouraging you to use the smartphone. If they're having to go out and cover something, they'll use the smartphone. If they don't have a kit, they'll just use the smartphone, right? So, big advocate of this. I'll give you a little bit of theory, because I like theory, because you can use theory. There's always a sort of divide between mainstream media and alternative media. So we hear that a lot around the referendum or the election. The mainstream media is biased, alternative media is this, right? That kind of dichotomy, that sort of binary divide, I think it's nonsense, because I think there's a lot of stuff here that this is the existing media. And they're the ones that can set news agendas, and they're the ones that have the kind of the power, so to speak. But the alternative media, the people that I'm interested in, some do it ideologically, so they do it because they're politically against something, but a lot of them do it because they feel marginalised and not represented by the mainstream media, and that could be a lot of people, right? But they provide an alternative outlook to the world, and I think that's where social media can be really important, rather than just being a consumer of social media, being a producer of social media. But what can we learn from media activists? Because I always feel stuff and people like, oh God, you're going to get me out being an activist in the street and you make media. No, there's lots of devices and tools that they use that they can then convert into stuff. So it's about capturing and amplifying the wee stories, because a journalist is kind of looking for the big scoop, the big story. But actually, there's all this stuff going on, all this process stuff that is, I personally find fascinating, and I find myself down both on YouTube watching little videos with people talking about stuff. The photograph I use here, I worked down in Leicester with an organisation called Citizen Eye. They trained their volunteers to be the journalists, and then they capture stuff, people who, certainly people who work in social care, and they recorded videos. This is 2009-10 with the kind of early iPhones, and they put those videos on YouTube. And those videos are still there, and you can track back, way back to 10 years ago, of these little videos of people. And they might not have a lot of hits, but you kind of make their story exist, which for a lot of people, they don't feel represented at all. And it's not about the big numbers, it's about making that story exist. Being able to feel that that story is important, because otherwise they'll never have their story told. And I'm interested in how events are catalysts, because we all come together and it's rare to get to meet people. Like, you're working, I spent 9 months writing my PhD on my own, and that was my social thing, right? And it was, it started getting that FOMO, the feeling of missing out, where you're just like, I'm watching everybody else's life on my phone, and I'm not meeting people, and that's not enough, right? So when we meet up and we talk to each other, we can produce really positive content, keep people engaged and happy. And sometimes we walk away from events and we think, God, we should have done something when we were there, and we talk about, well, let's have a meeting afterwards, and we'll do it. No, do it when people are engaged and excited and already switched on. And it's about the process stuff. I think the process is way just as important as the final product, because you can piece that all together. And also, what I learned from media activists is you learn something and you pass it on. It doesn't belong to you. It's something you can pass on. Now, I'm really excited the fact that I'm now a proper journalist, because I'm doing stuff with the Ferret, and it's really exciting because I've always wanted to be a journalist. But I'm not a journalist because I don't want to be the gatekeeper to this. I want to be like, here's some stuff, and you go and learn it and pass it on. Because Mike's asked me to do some vox pops, but actually I'm going to teach you how to do vox pops so you can do the vox pops. And then I've got a room full of journalists rather than me going around and trying to do it all and filling my phone up, right? So, but it shows you as well, I also think it's really interesting with media education, because by learning how the media is constructed, you can actually deconstruct media yourself. When I work with young people, kids who looked after young people, kids from really quite terrible backgrounds, that come and make media and they realise how the media is constructed in ways that lectures about it wouldn't. So I think being able to do it with a phone, really powerful. And it's about stories. I mean, I've used this as an example because people know what Humans in New York is. It's kind of like a well-known thing, but it's simplicity. During the Commonwealth Games, somebody did Humans in Glasgow. These are some photographs. I'm sorry, I'm going to show these slides so you can actually have a read of what they say. But it's this idea of lived experience and photograph, and able to put somebody and somebody telling their story. I think, it's like a wee record in history. Everybody's story is important. It's about ensuring it's the simplicity around that. I'll just finish with an example we did. So I was funded by Creative Scotland back during the Olympics, and there's a project around the torch relay. I always ask the question, I do this, because some people have seen the citizen relay stuff before, but did anyone see the torch relay? Yeah, okay, so it's a shared experience, right? And I was doing this project and saw it. I drove 1,000 miles around Scotland, and I saw the torch relay like 30 times, and people would tell me that it was the best day of their life. Like, honest to God, because they saw my camera and they saw it as media, and they were like, I want to tell you this is the best day of my life. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This torch relay is the best day of my life, but it's the power of this event that managed to activate an entire nation to have an opinion on something. You don't get many things like that, right? We don't get many positive things like that. So Citizen Relay was, we trained up reporters, we gave them some skills in media, people could volunteer, and we advertised it as opportunity to work in the Olympics. But when it started, when the torch relay arrived in Stranraer, and it ran for 7 days in Scotland, we used the hashtag Citizen Relay and used WordPress, Audio Boom, which is sort of audio podcast tool. There's other things that exist now that do that. Instagram, really heavily processed photographs. YouTube, that's a photo of Dundee, because I came through Dundee in my bus. I had a bus. I love my bus. Love a road trip. And because we started generating this kind of content, people started joining in. So we had our volunteers that we trained up, and then folks saw that actually the torch is coming through our area, but the BBC aren't reporting it because they're reporting on the big things around it. And the BBC had a kind of remit to report and live stream the torch coming through the nation, right? So when folk came back and were like, right, that was a really nice event, it was the best day of my life, I'm going to Google it and see what happened in Tom and Tool, for instance. And there was nothing, because it was, they were focusing on the staged event in Stornoway or Avonmore. We didn't talk about the actual community stuff. So folk were then Googling our content and going, oh, look, somebody's actually writing about it. And then they started submitting their photos, and by the end of it, we had this kind of collection of people's experiences around the torch relay. And not all were positive, and not all were like glowing, but having a map of all that was really interesting. And it started to think, well, that's a big event, that's a catalyst, people get involved. So that sort of idea that if I able to go, right, if you want to get involved, all you need to do is create some content and use hashtags, right? Brilliant. So it lowered the barrier to entry, and people felt they could participate. And through that, people sharing the content, we were getting like so many hits, and the BBC ended up lifting the content and using our content. So it went from we were citizen journalists locked out to being they needed us because there was boots in the ground. And I think that's really important. It doesn't necessarily need to be a torch relay because it worked in other contexts, but it works around conferences, it works around jams. So I'm going to do a demonstration, and then we are going to do stuff during stuff. So I'm going to interview Mike. One of the things really important, right, is not really about technology, it's about being able to kind of prepare for it, because I do so much filmmaking now, and I love it, but the editing process, because filmmakers in here know that editing involves knuckling down and making sure you get the detail and stuff, but if you can get an interview without any edits, then you put it straight on Twitter, right? So, I'll give you this kind of 4 things to think about. It's all in the prep, it's not to do with the technology, everything. If you've got a phone in your pocket, you can do this. Firstly, hold it like that. For goodness sake, I've got a massive phone. Look at this, like,
I thought she was just waving an owl.
Yeah. It's a simple thing, right, but do that, because if you do that and put it on YouTube, then you get the black lines down it, right? So just make it horizontal, make it the same size as the screen. Now, I've got young people in the level Snapchats like that, like, well, for me, you're doing that. Okay, make sure that's make sure you're holding it like still, because wobbly is tough, but you can use your body as a tripod. If you're doing something and it's like, you're going to hold something for like 60 seconds, you need to make sure that you can hold that pose for 60 seconds. Because I've done an interview outside a pub once, and I was on chippy stones like that, and the women took ages to talk. It was like, she was so nervous, and I was like, yeah, it's fine, I've got to talk. But then once she started, it was like 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm on these chippy stones, like, right? So make sure you pick a position you're going to stick with, otherwise you do that. What's the thing? Lighting. This room is not good for lighting, there's no natural light. Go find natural light, but don't stand next to something next to a window, because that big wall, first thing I noticed, if you stand next to a window, the face goes dark, you can't see it. Turn to the side, light them like that, they'll look great. Okay. Sound, just listen to the sound. This room's good for sound, but you can hear a hum. So just when you're tuning in, just people can tolerate shaky video, but they can't tolerate bad sound. So make sure you're not standing next to a speaker. Make sure if you're doing something that you're going to only get one opportunity to do it, when, say for instance somebody's busy, you want to interview somebody, you only get one chance to do it. Make sure there's nothing going to be distracting in that. So. Yeah, and questions. The biggest thing is making sure the person going to interview knows it's going to happen. And if you can settle them down before you turn the camera on, then you don't need to actually worry about it, because they're having a conversation.
I haven't got a clue.
So I do this now, and then ask Mike his political opinions and stuff, and he'd be like, where's this going? What do you know? You have to kind of acknowledge that. You have to let them know where it's going, so get permission. You don't need to have a written slip, but be open about the fact that this is going to go on your Twitter account, or this is going to go on our website, stuff like that. Kind of informed consent. It's kind of similar stuff to the research we did yesterday. Just make sure that people are aware where it's going and it doesn't end up in some other thing, right? Of course, a 60-second video, one question, and get them to introduce themselves. Say, hello, my name is, I'm from here. So I'm going to ask you, Mike, how do you think the event's going so far, and what's your favourite thing that you've seen? Would that be okay? Okay. This is good. nice. There's a good background, but be careful there's nothing drawn on it, because I've done things where I've done things where I've got a workshop in that place in West Wales, and I had this beautiful big mural of all these animals, and I was like, yep, fine. And somebody interviewed me, and there was a pig on my shoulder, and it was like, I didn't even notice it, because I was like, oh, this is a mural, it's lovely, and then, pig on my shoulder, and it's on YouTube. Yeah, so. And make sure your finger isn't covering anything. You can get, like, I've got, yeah, you can get little things you make it better, like, you can get your mics, you can get all these, you get cool tripods, you can get all these things that can make the phone better, but for the basic interview, you don't need any of that, you just need to be able to do this, right? And it's just a shame that it's strip lighting, but okay. Okay, Mike, looking at me, can you just introduce yourself?
My name is Mike Grass.
Okay, and could you tell me about the event we're at today?
The event today is Dundee GovJam 2017, and it's part of a global event that's taking place in around 20 cities around the world, where people who have an interest in public services are trying to redesign those services in a collaborative, a playful but informed way, using some basic design techniques.
Okay, and what do you think the favourite part of the event being?
My favourite part of the event has been watching these people here do things that actually are quite remarkable, because by their own admission, many of them have felt quite uncomfortable about what they've been doing. And as an old hero of mine, David Bowie, once said, he said, if I feel comfortable, I know there's something a bit wrong. It's not feeling uncomfortable all the time, but it's getting out of your comfort zone and doing something that is different. That's actually the only way that you make change happen, is doing things that you haven't done before and abandoning those recipes. So seeing what these people here have learned over the course of the day, and also how you turn them into media tasks. 10 minutes. Remarkable.
Okay, so simple, right? So it's just asking the right question and realising that anyone can do this, and you can see if you, now let me get back to something. You can go out and do that in your group and interview each other, and then if you've got a Twitter account, keep it under 2 minutes, then you can just put straight on Twitter. Boom, done. That's a good one. You've got some video content, you need to write that blog post, you can just put video up, right? But the benefits are, it's like, 60 seconds of video can really capture something, but if you get a person talking, and you all know this, right? You can get a person actually talking about the thing that they are doing, so much more powerful than just a couple of quotes, right? It can be used to illustrate stuff. The purely practical thing, if you do your own content, you don't need to use it's your copyright, it's yours, right? So you can use that in presentations. All my photos are mine. That was the thing I got taught in my PhD, was like take lots of photos, so it means when you're doing presentations, it's visual, so folk can be like, right, I see what you mean, rather than be like, here is another chart, and a graph, and taking photographs, really important. Yeah, it's very compatible with social media, so do it on Twitter, upload it to YouTube, whatever, but it can be shared in other places, so it just generates something that's a bit interesting. And that's just the no edit one, because go into editing, and that can take something, but we, as part of the Digital Commonwealth team, in 2014 produced this digital storytelling handbook. It's in the resources for the GovJam, but you can download it off the website, stuff's already there. It was kind of a product of all the stuff we did with schools and community groups, so it's like, rather than it being about this is how to use a phone or this is how to use a camera, it's idea generation, so like, I can go out and make stuff, what sort of stuff will I do, how do I plan this, how do I think about everything like that, so please download. And yeah, just remembering again, emphasise every story is important, because sometimes people are like, I can't make video, I'm going to do that, I'm going to upload that now, and that's like, brilliant, that's a minute and a half, I've done a wee video, that's all you need to do, try not to get too hung up on it. So yeah, next steps, go and make a video, and it'd be great if you could do that, because it also helps people who are not in the room understand what's going on. Okay, I think it's quite good participation. All of social media, any questions I'm around, okay? That's me.
Thank you very much indeed, Jennifer. That's absolutely great. Okay, so that's the talks for today. If you would go back to your areas, and we're going to start status reports in about, is it status or status? Data. We're going to start status reports in about 10 minutes. So The same kind of question, well, the questions that we'd like you to address are, what have you done since we last did the status report? We've got too many house of cards, I think that's the problem. What are you learning, and what are you going to do next? And think a little bit about the team thing, right? So we've exposed you to a number of different techniques. You might want to use video, you might want to use journey maps, you've got the modelling thing, etc. What else are you going to produce? There's lots of different ways of showing how something works.
What time's lunch and what time's finish?
There's a grazing lunch, right? There's a kind of lunch that is, I think, being served from about 1 o'clock. So it's kind of grab and go. We're not going to have a lunch break. Sorry about that, because you don't have time. Everything has to be uploaded by 3 p.m. Don't panic about that. We'll be coming around. We'll be helping you doing that kind of stuff. But that is to govjam.org by 3 p.m. Just upload what you can. And then at about 3:30, we'll have the final show and tell. And then by about 4:15, I think we're done. That's roughly how the day's going to pan out. So just before 10 o'clock, we're going to start the status report. Status. Right. Good.